All right. All righty, here we go. We're doing it, right? We're on. Hi, I'm Danny Cohen. Hello. We got Gibran Saleem, we got Sean Donnelly, we got Rosebud Baker. Hello, everybody.
Hello. Danny,
Hey,
you're hosting?
I'm hosting.
nice.
Sweet. That's great.
Danny, you look so put together in your apartment. That's an adult apartment right there.
I'm 52. I'm an adult.
Are you 50? No, you're not 52.
I am. I'm a 68 baby.
Are you 52?
Wow.
And this is what happens. It comes to a point where you're like, all right, I have to sort of get an apartment because I'm now like, if I was 52 and I was still living like I was in a dorm, it wouldn't be.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm 42 and that's how I'm living. I have a divorced guy, fucking weird apartment.
There's a few years.
Yeah.
Gibran's he's got frames and shit. That's nice. That's a good touch.
Mine looks really creepy.
The bar is very low.
Yeah.
If you have frames, you're killing it.
Behind me, I just have one frame picture of Ray Liotta. That's signed.
Oh,
nice.
It was signed?
Yeah, well, Dan St. Germain got it for me as a gift.
Wow.
But it came as part of this big, like this big giant picture. It said Goodfellas. But I just took the frame, the signed photo out and made it its own thing because I just wanted the picture. But I had a Young Frankenstein picture next to it, but that fell. So now it just looks like I just have a picture of Ray Liotta, which it is. Just one picture.
Yeah, because that is what you have.
Jordan.
It's like a distant relative. Mike Rowland, good to see you, man.
What's up?
Hi, Mike.
Yeah, I got it. How are you guys doing?
You don't have your own Zoom account.
I know. I just realized I'm logged in under my roommate.
You can change the name on the thing if you want to.
Yeah. I was like, who the fuck is Jordan?
All night.
Is Jordan a comedian?
Yeah, she's great. She's hilarious.
Yeah, she's funny. She's doing like a master's in social work.
Right, she was. I think.
That's hilarious.
Was that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Jibran's like, she's so funny. She's getting a master's in social work.
I have a master's in psychology, and we went to the same grad school.
She's like the best joke writer. She also does construction on the side.
She's really caring.
Yeah, she owns her own carpentry business.
Great.
Wow.
Randomly.
That's wild.
Wait, so before we started Rosebud, you said you watched. What did you watch? The Red Table Round Table or something?
Yeah, I watched. I had just started watching Will and Jada on the Red Table because they do this Red Table talk, and they were doing it. It's like this. They just talk about their relationships and life and blah blah blah. But what happened was something came out about Jada fucking this 22-year-old actor, and then they sort of did this Red Table talk as like an open discussion, but it was really like a PR. It was like a way to kind of quell the insanity because it was starting to blow up.
Oh wow!
And the conversation is hilarious too because it's like
I read about it. I want to watch. Yeah.
It's so strange.
What was your impression of how Will handled it? Do you think he was happy to be there?
Wait,
he didn't seem happy to be there at all.
You saw it? I thought you hadn't seen it yet.
I started watching it right before I signed in, and I told Mike I had to go because I needed to get something to eat, but I really was just wanted to see a little bit more of that.
Did Will confess to fucking anybody himself?
Oh
no, he didn't.
It's only
about Jada.
Only Jada.
It was just Jada, and she keeps calling it an entanglement, but it's like, and then Will's like, can you like call it what it is?
They make it very clear that they didn't want to be together at the time. It sounded like they fucking hate each other when they hated each other when it happened.
At the time, it seemed like they were really at odds, and because Will says he's like, I kicked you the fuck out. I was done with you. And then she was like helping this guy who was very sick at the time. And she was like, and we became friends. We became really good, close friends.
We were entangled. It was an entangled.
Our body parts were entangled.
Yeah, we were entangled inside of one another. And
there's a great quote from it. It says she enjoyed helping heal someone, but while they were dating, she learned she was trying to fix others instead of fixing herself.
Yeah, she said she was very broken.
That is poetry.
Very broken.
Yeah.
That sounds like psychobabble to me. But.
I love it. I love when it all boils down to like something that we all already fucking know, that it's like you knew that before you started this whole thing. You were just trying to fuck a 22-year-old.
Yeah,
just say you were having fun.
They put a bunch of weird terms on it. It's like, you guys, your relationship was in a bad place. You just fucked somebody else, and they're trying to make it sound like this whole other thing.
Right.
Well, they kind of always come off as business partners anyway. I've never really seen any warmness between Will and Jay. They always seem like they're just like they started like a fucking cough drop company together. It's never like a
specific company.
I know. I'm just saying like something random. It's never like it's never. They don't seem like a family. They all seem like they're just constantly everything's PR.
Oh yeah, everyone's an employee.
Yeah, exactly.
But it makes you wonder, because it feels like marriage, like it almost is like, I mean, if the goal of marriage, which I think for a lot of people, the goal is just to keep going. I don't think, a lot of people, they're like, we're married, so the goal is just stay together.
No matter what you're saying.
Right. Yeah. And so I look at that and I go, well, if that's their goal, then I guess being business partners is probably better than being, in love with each other.
As business partners, they made two very profitable children. If you look at it like that.
They fucking did.
Yeah, they made that whole family makes money now.
An empire. It's good. I mean,
it's amazing.
The son has apparently the son endorsed Kanye for president. I saw a thing about that.
He would.
And it's like endorsed himself.
What?
Kanye is going through a bipolar episode.
100%.
And it's explaining why he wrote that.
Is that for real?
Yeah.
That's what they say.
He for sure is going through an episode. You know that he's running for president, right, Danny?
Yeah.
I mean, wait, I don't know how.
But is he still running for president? Is that just going to fizzle out? That's what I'm wondering. Well, it'll probably just fizzle out, right?
It's going to fizzle out. I think.
Yeah, I mean, and Paris Hilton is right behind him. With there's rumor of Paris Hilton.
Oh my God!
I don't know straight up, but I read a few articles about it, but it's not. She's thinking about running.
I love that he said he was running under the birthday party. That was the funniest thing.
I didn't hear it.
I was like,
see, that's the thing. Like, why are people just like chalking it up to like Kanye being Kanye? It's like, no, this is like Charlie Sheen level fucking crazy. This is like,
Tiger blood.
You didn't say tiger blood. What is it? What did he say again? Tiger blood?
Tiger blood.
Yeah, tiger blood.
Tiger blood.
I'm on a drug. It's called Charlie Sheen. That was the shit.
Spot on, Mike.
But that's the same thing. If you were like, if Charlie Sheen was like, "Oh, I'm running for president," we'd be like, "Oh yeah, put him in the van with the white men in the white coats." Like it's
right.
Insane.
Yeah, and then in the same week, I think he came out with like 3 new freestyles. It's like all of it is pointing to manic episode. All of it is like, it's like he's running for president under the birthday party. He's doing these like press conferences. He's writing 3 new songs in a day. They're all trash. And it's just like, the man needs his medicine.
It's just like, all the freestyles are just like all one word. It's like free stop, free stop, free stop.
No, I heard that one of them is him on the phone. He's just on the phone. Like Andy was telling me he was just on the phone for one of them, right? Have any of you heard it?
No, I've heard 2 songs. They're not bad, but I haven't heard any freestyles.
They're not bad?
No, he's got Wash Us in Blood, which is not bad. It's with Travis Scott. And then there's another song which is more of like a club kind of song. It's not completely hip hop, but he does a verse on it.
Kanye writes songs like he's living in the Passion of the Christ. Like it's like that kind of thing. Like he is dude. He's not just religious. He's into like old school, like puritanical religion. Like the what he says is like what some preacher in a movie about the Wild West would say about about the town. This town's going to hell in a handbasket or something. Like he has that like apocalypse style fucking way of thinking.
Yeah, he would be in a traveling carnival.
Yeah. He'd be the. And I've loved Kanye ever since first came on this, ever since College Dropout came on the scene. But the more the guys allowed,
I loved him ever since he said slavery was a choice.
That was the turning point for me.
I was thinking, like, if you're that religious, though, if you're that kind of religious, now is the perfect time to be that kind of religious, because everything around you is just like Old Testament. You know what I mean? Like the things that are happening just kind of support whatever it is that you are reading about. Like, because you could, if I read the Bible now, I'd be like, this all checks out. This could happen.
This could happen, right? Oh, and then when UFOs come, that'll be the rapture. That's Jesus coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I was thinking about you, Sean, because I watched something about UFOs, and I know you got really into those. Are you still into them?
It. Yeah, I've been doing a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought you had a podcast.
I just started one. Yeah. What did you watch about UFOs?
It was on Unsolved Mysteries. So Netflix.
Oh yeah. I watched it. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. I got it. I've been there.
Yeah. And what did you think? Did it seem believable?
It seemed, part of it seemed believable, and then other parts of it, I believe that there's life on other planets. That's not something that is like, I don't think that's like a mystery, or like, I know that's like a thing, but the idea that they like brought people's bodies on a ship and then put them down and made them forget about it, that's where I start to go like,
yeah.
Okay.
Does anybody here who's had a UFO experience? Anybody?
I never have.
No, never.
No.
I've never.
Have you?
Yeah.
What'd you say? You have? Who has?
No, I haven't.
No, Michael, no, nobody. Right.
No, but I've been like talking to people because of the podcast, and it's like my cousin saw one. My cousin has a story about how he was like dead asleep, and then out of nowhere there was this thing above his house that was like humming, and a light, almost like not a giant light, just light went all around his house.
Where does he live?
This is my cousin.
Does he live on a farm?
He lives in Jersey in the suburbs.
What
And he said,
around him?
and he said that him and his wife immediately got up like at the same time and looked at each other like, are you hearing that? Like, what the hell is that? And then the light came on, and then he got freaked out, and he was going to go outside, and he went over to his deck, his sliding door to go out, and he was like, something was telling him, don't go outside. So he didn't. And then it was going on for like 2 minutes, and he could just hear this thing. Like it wasn't a plane. It was way too loud. Like the humming was so like bassy that it was like, it wasn't, definitely wasn't a plane. And then he said it went away after like 2 minutes, but he's like, it was not a helicopter, wasn't a plane. I could see that it was like the light was surrounding my house and my neighbor's house. Like he was like, I'm convinced it was a UFO. He's like, I'm convinced.
Or a street.
And or what? No, it wasn't. No, he's saying like he could walk out his window and see a street lamp. Yeah, it was street lamp above his house.
This is amazing. I've never seen the street lamp before.
Yeah, it's a huge street lamp. But there's tons of stories like that. There's insane amounts of stories from like believable people, like those people in the Unsolved Mysteries things. Some of them that like they're people that you're like, they don't seem like they want to be bothered. Like they're making zero money off this thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. There was that old lady I sort of believed. I was like, okay, she seems like I would believe her. The guy that showed his paintings at the end, I was like, this guy's been ruined. Whatever the fuck happened to him, he's ruined.
Yeah.
Like nobody wants to touch this dude. Because he's like, and it was so embarrassing because the paintings were like George Bush's paintings. They were so bad.
Hey, George Bush's paintings are decent.
Wow, that's the Atlanta part coming out of Mike.
Mike Pans, and there's just one of his paintings up on the wall.
Mike's like, all right, let's not make this into a George Bush bashing.
Yeah, let's not bash a decent artist. But you were telling me
I just Googled them. They're terrible.
I've never seen them.
Hitler was a better artist than George W. Bush.
Can I tell you guys something? Can I reveal something to you guys?
Sure.
So my mom is a painter, and she's like a really good painter. And and you know, my family's like entwined with the Bush family. We have an entanglement.
Yeah.
And
wait, what? I didn't know that.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
So my granddad was Secretary of State under George Bush Sr.
Whoa.
So when Bush
Illuminati.
left office, he called my mom up and was like, I started painting and took painting lessons from my mom.
No way.
Wow.
Yeah, and his paintings are so bad that I honestly was like, I won't say anything on here, but then I was like, no, I have to tell you guys. But she fucking taught him how to paint, or tried to, for like a solid 2 months.
Wait, are so your family's like they're good friends with the Bushes?
Yeah. Huh?
Did you just like vacation with them or anything?
We went to Kenny Bunkport once.
Get the fuck out of here.
Where is that?
Yeah. It's like in Maine. And it's like the president's like summer house or whatever.
Have you ever called him Uncle Bush?
Huh?
How do you refer to him?
Uncle Bush.
Yeah, they sound close. You sound close.
Wouldn't it be, if anything, it'd be Uncle George, wouldn't it?
No, you call him.
Good call.
You call him Mr. President. You don't like. I got.
Really?
I got actually in trouble for that when I was like a kid, because we were at the White House for a dinner, and I was like a kid.
That's crazy, Rosebud.
And
Keep going.
Keep going.
And I wanted to do a speech. I was probably like 8.
What the fuck?
8 or 10.
Just casually eating at the White
Take
House.
us through the entire thing. Getting there. What did you eat?
I don't remember. I really don't remember a lot of my childhood.
Okay.
I was probably touched. But here's the thing. So we go.
George W. Bush.
And-
at the White House when you were 8. Okay.
So yeah, and we're all like, I remember everybody was dressed up, and it was like in the big ballroom or whatever, and I started banging on my glass to make a speech. And they let me make a speech, and I stood on my chair, and I was like, and all I remember was I went, "Hi, George." And and it got like this huge laugh, and I was furious.
Why were you mad? Because you were serious.
I was so fucking mad. Yeah, because I was serious. I was like, what the fuck did I say? Like, it felt like they were laughing at me. Like I wasn't, you know what I mean? So I got so pissed, and I was like, anyway, George, and I kept trying to like do it, trying to like start my speech, and they all kept laughing. And to this day, I don't remember what the fuck I said for the rest of the speech. All I know is I was so pissed, and I turned to my dad and I was like, "What is so funny?" And he was like, "You were supposed to say Mr. President." And I remember thinking like, that just sounds retarded.
Well, also for a kid, it does. Like, yeah, like
yeah, and it feels like, oh, hello, officer friendly. Like, it feels like what you would call a president in like a storybook. Like, it didn't make sense to me.
Like Mr.
You know
Butcher, Mr. President.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wait, so that was when you were 12?
8.
Well, no, I was like,
you were little.
I don't know what age I was, but I was young.
You're a little.
George Senior.
Did he have a dog?
What's that?
Did you get to play with their pets? They are all blacked out.
Yeah, they had those like standard poodles or something. Or no, it was what did they have? They had like a Elizabeth. I don't remember what kind of dogs they had. Actually,
did they tell you?
Was it a hound dog? I can't remember.
Did they tell you who killed JFK?
No.
Just casual.
I should ask.
The White House.
I should ask.
Did it get to a point where you like stopped doing that type of stuff because you got older and you're kind of like, I don't want to go, or like they weren't invited anymore, or
Well, he wasn't in office, I mean, I remember I went to the inaugural ball for his son.
Whoa.
For George W. But at that point I was I was almost in college, and I was like, I don't want to be here, because I was like, at that point I was like, I wanted Gore to win. Yeah. And I remember being there just because my dad was like, all right, we're going to the inaugural ball. And I was like, and I remember looking at the protesters outside and being like,
yeah, I'm with you guys, I swear to God.
Yeah. It's so weird because you're sitting there like, I'm surrounded by blood money.
Yeah. Spoke at the White House.
Yeah, you spoke at Rosebud, where are you from?
DC.
Oh, so you're from Nova. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's really interesting.
I don't have a White House.
What's that, Danny?
Does anybody else have a White House story?
No, I've walked by it.
Yeah, I've walked by it.
I've been to Virginia before.
That's something.
You did what for Virginia?
I went there. I think I was moving somebody into a house.
I've seen a picture of the White House. How far removed are we?
It's not that cool.
Pretty amazing.
It's pretty cool.
It's gotta be cool.
It's because at least it was like you went to the White House when it actually, even if it was George Bush, like who cares? Like that's when it actually mattered. Like now, if I went, I'd be like just a house. Like it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Fuck this place. Who cares?
But that's what I'm saying is like you go. It's like anything else. It's like it's cool until you go, and then you're there, and you're like, I did that.
It's
you
like,
know what I mean?
When you're in
like,
there,
that's
you're like
not that cool.
It's like 1,000 years old, right? You're walking around, and it's like all probably really like damp and musty and
yeah,
right?
it's
like,
1,000-year-old rental home. That's what it is.
It's a timeshare.
Yeah,
timeshare.
Yeah.
And is Kenny Bunkport? Is that huge? Was there crazy security? It must have been crazy security.
There's like yeah, but it's all Secret Service, so they're just like surrounding the property, and then they're like, you know, they're not really like, I don't remember them being on the property with us unless he was outside.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I remember teaching his nephew how to smoke pot.
That's funny. That's pretty cool. Was it Billy Bush of Access Hollywood?
No, I can't say who it was, but
I'm kidding. Yeah.
But yeah. It was
at the White House. Y'all did it at the White House?
No, at Kenny Bunkport.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever talk? So your grandfather, did you ever talk to him about his job or anything like that? Like, you get into politics with him, or was he like easygoing with that stuff, or is he, you know?
No, here's the thing. I never really gave a shit. I never cared.
Yeah, makes sense.
I guess like I was surrounded by it, so I was just like, you know, that's like what my granddad does, and you know, when you're, it's like it's become more interesting to me now than it was then. But I
Speaking of UFOs, you are related to people who know about UFOs. I'm not saying you do, but they know. You're definitely your grandfather knows something. I guarantee.
Yeah. Did you see the Times? They printed like a story about how some fucking military guys saw a UFO in the sky.
Yeah, of course. That's basically there was the 3 videos that came out.
Nimitz incident.
It went like this: the videos were released, and then nobody would say anything, and then the Navy said they were real, and then the Department of Defense was like, "Yes, we can't identify these videos." They accompanied an article from the New York Times from 3 years ago talking about a group called ATIP that was within the Department of Defense that's supposed to study UFOs, and now all this other stuff. There's a new one about that's a document from a guy like Lieutenant Wilson or whatever his name was from back in the day, of him trying to get information about a private company that was working on a crashed craft. Like there was this private company that was commissioned by the government, and for the longest time people were like, oh, it's fake. But now the New York Times has another story that might be coming out about it. Like basically, or that's the theory that they have another story that's for real.
Shut up.
Oh, see, the dog knew.
Why did you start a podcast? What's the obsession with? I mean, I don't know if it's an obsession, but what's the thing with
what
you?
did it for me? I was never that guy. And then when I've talked about this a bunch, but like when that article came out in the Times, that's what made me get so into it, because I was also getting divorced at the time, so maybe that did it too. It's like something to get into, but like read the Times article. It's called like Black Money, Glowing Auras, and UFOs or something like that. I'll send it to you guys. It's the beginning of all this, and it basically talks about this group that was the theory was $20 million was put into this group. It was around. In that iteration, it was around for 5 years, and what they were tasked with is studying these videos that were being sent to them by military sources. So there was like military pilots that were sending in like infrared video from their F-18s and being like, we don't know what this is. So they were able to explain about 90% of them, but 10% of them, they were like, we have no idea what this is. So then what happens is a few guys from that group left and joined. Tom DeLonge of Blink-182 started like a research group, and all these like pretty high up like physicists joined this guy's group to try to figure out how to, basically from what they were seeing off what they were, or the videos they were getting, how to reverse engineer it. That's the whole military angle is.
What is the group called? What is the Blink-182 offshoot?
It's called To the Stars Academy. So To the Stars Academy does a whole bunch of stuff. They're doing like they're trying to reverse engineer like how these things.
Let me ask you something, Sean.
Yeah.
If let's say they're real and they come down and they probe all of our butts, what is the benefit for you of knowing about this?
Well, the probing of the butts, that's not part of it for me, but
whatever they do.
That's the best part.
For me, the knowing part is that I think it would be the most insane thing to happen in the history of the human race. And it would change. Wouldn't it change everything you thought about your reality?
Your podcast would take off.
Yeah. My podcast would take off. Exactly. But wouldn't it change your reality? Rosebud, it wouldn't change your perception on things if you found out that it was completely for real and they were from a different planet or a different dimension.
Well, here's the thing. If I found out, the only way that I would really find out is if they came here. So like my question to you is trying to figure this stuff out before they've shown up. What's the benefit? Like what's the draw?
There would be peace on Earth if they showed up.
I believe that too.
We would all unite and say, fuck everything and all the problems we have. Fuck color of the skin and religion.
Yeah.
Us and it's them.
Well, you know who talked about it? There's a famous quote by
technically we should have done that with COVID.
What?
Right, good point.
Technically we should have done that with COVID. Like I think it'd be hilarious if they came and there's like half of human beings are like fuck the aliens, and the other half is like, I'm gonna start fucking them. I think it's time for interspecies fucking.
But Sean, your perception of aliens is automatically more intelligent than humans.
Well, I think so here's the theory, man. Like it's one of those things where I don't know what it is. And there's all different sorts of theories about it. So some people think it's extraterrestrial. Some people think it's interdimensional, which apparently is mathematically possible. But so technology wise, if they are coming here and it's from somewhere else, automatically they'd be more intelligent than us because they
hate it.
They made that technology. And so think about what we've done in the short amount of time humans, like technology wise, even in 100 years, 1900 to 2000, look at that technology. Now take 1,000,000 years. Where do you think we'd be at that point?
Yeah.
So it's possible. And then the way that these things are powered and the theories they have is like, it's the whole idea with the military is that whoever gets this technology first wins. If it was a different country, that's one of the theories too, is that it's China or it's Russia. And if it is, they win. They can if they have that technology, it's done. Like they win every war, because the way these things operate is nothing like you've ever seen in like movies or when we go to war and we have the stealth bomber and all that. It's about 1,000 years ahead of that. It's like that kind of thing.
Well, couldn't you say that the same about nuclear bombs? Like whoever.
No, because we have that technology.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the thing, man. That's another one of the things that comes up on this is that what is registering to them is nuclear power, because the reason that they show up to sites that have a lot of nuclear power. So there's a bunch of military guys that also did back in like the 90s or whatever it was. They came together and they had like a symposium where they told their stories about these objects showing up above nuclear missile sites and either shutting down the missiles or putting them or arming the missiles. There was one, you can look it up. It's the whole thing about this red glowing object came above the nuclear missile site and like basically turned on the missiles. And then when it went away, everything went back to normal. Like, so that's the whole, so it sounds fucking bonkers, but there's a lot of like actual.
That's from interdimensional space travel. That's what.
No, I don't know what, they don't know what that is. All they know is that the general's downstairs in the facility and he gets a call from the guy at the gate and the guy's freaking out and he goes, there's a red glowing object. Like, look, okay, all right, this is what I do. If I watch these things, the more boring somebody is, the more I believe them on these fucking interviews. You know what I'm saying? Like, the more like they don't have.
The more uninterested they are in discussing.
The
more you believe them.
Yeah, it's not Ancient Aliens guy is the guy with the wacky hair. He's making probably, who knows, 200,000 a year. You know, he's making money off this. The guys that are like, so the perfect example, what did it for me is another story called the Nimitz incident, which the Nimitz incident just came out, and it was a story told by this guy, he was the captain, David Fravor, and he was in charge of all the pilots on the USS Nimitz. Okay, and for 2 weeks on their radar, they were seeing these crazy objects that were going from like 50 feet to like 5,000 feet and back down to 50 in seconds, like in no time, right? So what happens is they were tracking these things for 2 weeks. They could never get eyes on them. They even restarted the ship's systems. They thought like they did like a fucking Nintendo reboot of the whole boat, like trying to figure out what was going on. And then one day, Fravor and his co-pilot and another plane were out for exercises. They get a call saying, stop what you're doing. We have real world tasking. They go, show up to this location. They show up, they call in, they go, we don't see anything. And they go, well, this object, you're at plot merge, which means we can't differentiate between you and the object. He looks down and he sees 100-foot space of frothing water in the ocean, like almost like bubbling water. And then above the water, he sees a 40-foot tic-tac shaped object bouncing around. And he doesn't know what the hell it is. It has no wings and no exhaust. What'd you say?
Tic-tac shaped.
What kind of object?
A tic-tac shaped object, no wings, 40 foot, right? It's bouncing. And this is a guy, dude, and the reason why I believe it, this is a career military guy. The guy's got like a family and shit. So it's bouncing around above the thing. So he goes down to get a better look. He's trying to chase this thing. It's going right. It's like almost lapping him. Like it's just going so fast. Finally, he tries to cut across and get a better look at this thing because he's really close to it. And it takes off to 5,000 feet in 1 second. Like it's like, and when they ask him, what do you think it was? He goes, it wasn't from here. I've seen, and this is a guy who his whole job is Air Force technology and whatever. So those kind of stories.
I trust those guys. I trust those guys that aren't willing to say it's a UFO. Like the guys that are like, well, I haven't seen it. You know what I mean? But they're not willing to go, it was a UFO. For some reason, those guys just seem more sane to me. Cause it's like,
me too.
Cause they're withholding their belief in it, even though that's what they think it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
it's like they don't know how to, they're still skeptical because they can't fucking believe their eyes.
So the way it used to be was like if you were a Fravor and you were on that boat and you were one of those people, one of those officers on that boat, and you told your commanding officer you saw one of those things, you would either get fired or sent to a doctor. Like you'd be let go or you'd be sent to a psychiatrist.
What happened?
Right.
Then what happened?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
What happened to him?
Well, Fravor retired before he even told anybody in public that the story. He would tell people at bars and stuff as like an anecdote. And then when he retired, he finally came out about it. Yeah.
It's a good bar story.
But you said
it's a great bar story.
The higher
I love that guys tell UFO stories the same way women tell rape stories. Like, it's like I have to get a certain level of drunk before I'll tell anybody this. And I have to leave my job before I'll come out about it.
Yeah, but basically, so now what happens is this: like there was the way it used to be is that you would be fired or go to a doctor. But then they had a thing with Congress and the Navy all these guys told their stories and showed their data. And now if you're in the Navy and you see something, there's a reporting structure of what you report, and like you actually fill out a whole thing, and it's taken seriously, not like it used to be.
But I wonder if you're secretly put into like a category. You know, like
definitely.
Yeah.
You're on some sort of list.
Higher up, you're like, oh, he's in category Z, whatever. You know.
Classified.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like in it, but I'm not in it. I'm like the way I feel about it is not. I'm rationally in it. Like there's a lot of shit I don't believe. Put it that way.
Mike, where do you stand?
Huh?
What's the alien temperature in Georgia? I know you're not in Georgia.
Alien temperature in Georgia. Yeah, I believe aliens would be around. I don't know. I think about aliens like I think about God. I'm like, maybe. I'm just a big maybe on everything.
Yeah.
It's probably,
Do you have any family in Georgia that's seen any or no?
Are you trying to lead me into a bit right now?
No. What a weird specific bit that I would have just in my pocket. I don't know what bit I would be leading you.
No, it was my dad. My dad.
You seem just like a southern rural guy, and I feel like that's UFOs like to hang out in those kinds of places.
Oh yeah, if this was like 20 years ago, Mike would have been one of those guys in the middle of the forest, like I saw a light in the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have family like that, but Most people are like super religious, and I think sometimes that's like a dividing line. It's like I believe in God.
It is. It actually is, and that's part of this too.
Interesting.
Creatures of the sky, unless they're angels.
So the same thing I said about ATIP, that group that what that article was about. They said the higher ups within that group, the reason they won't allow the information to be released is because they've been quoted as saying it's demonic, and they don't want people freaking out about it.
Yeah,
they think it's demonic. Yeah,
for sure.
Do you guys have any sort of religious background there where like what the Bible do holy books reference aliens in any way?
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
the ancient aliens guy is big on that.
Aside of like angels.
Yeah.
There's a thing called, there's a passage called like Ezekiel's wheel where the guy describes like a wheel in the sky, and he says fire coming from all these things that can be, you can interpret it as like he saw something. He saw
also First Testament, the early Testament, Noah had they say that when he built the ark, that aliens helped him build these unknown human beings, these unknown beings helped him build the ark.
Really?
Yeah.
What if they were just like monkeys?
They were unknown. They were unfamiliar, but it was before the flood, so it could have been. I don't know. It's interesting. They say, some people say angels, but it is discussed in the early Testament.
That's another theory. This guy Jacques Vallée, who's been a UFO guy for a long time, he has the theory that it's not UFOs. What'd you say, Gibran?
Very UFO fancy Jacques Vallée.
He sounds like
UFO scientist.
Yeah, he's like studying them from his winery.
Him. I don't even know him.
His theory is that it's a phenomenon. It's not aliens. What it is it's some kind of thing that fits itself for the time. So back in the day when people were seeing fairies and stuff like that, it's the same as what now is, but it just, whatever's going on, it fits itself. It masks itself as something people think, like as technology advanced and people's intelligence advanced, like they're making it UFOs because that's within our like world scope. But back in the day, it was like these are fairies because they believed in dragons and all that shit. Yeah, exactly.
Does anybody here believe that dragons ever existed?
No, I don't. But is there a case for that?
I mean, if dinosaurs existed, then maybe.
But like dragon
coming out of the mouth is a bit.
I don't know.
Wrong, but
yeah.
Here we are talking about aliens. Why can't we talk about dragons?
You're absolutely right.
I think dragons existed. I mean, every time I look at like a lizard, I'm like, okay, that was a dragon. It's a small dragon.
It's a friendly dragon, tiny friendly dragon.
Dragons are a symbol because reptiles back in the day were very scary. Like a snake could end your life. So naturally,
a snake can still end your life.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it was obvious. When's the last time you saw a snake? Like, when's the last time you were walking and a snake got up?
I was on Fifth Avenue and a snake almost bit me. It was crazy.
Really?
No. I used to have pet snakes when I was like 12 years old.
Oh, for real? You were the snake kid?
I was the snake kid. Yeah.
Oh my god.
A snake kid? I've never even heard of that term.
Yeah. I was the reptile kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That is a specific genre of person right there.
I don't think I was like weird like a snake kid would be.
No, I thought snake kids
were.
I mean, you owned a snake, Sean.
You owned a snake. You were a fucking weirdo. You owned a snake and you grew up to have a podcast about UFOs. Let's just take a minute.
Snakes, Sean? Only
snake.
What'd you say?
Only snakes? Did you have any other reptiles?
I had other pets. We had two dogs.
Balance it out with a dog. You don't want to just have snakes.
Well, I had snakes. One of them I had.
Was it only snakes? What a fun question.
I don't know. Maybe you had a turtle also. I don't know.
Yeah, I wanted a lizard, but I didn't get a lizard. I was really into it. We went to Gatorland Zoo when I was in Florida when I was a kid.
Yeah.
A picture of me and my sister, and I'm holding like a baby alligator with its mouth taped, and my sister has a boa constrictor around her neck.
Oh.
I remember being so thrilled that we went there.
Where did you?
Oh my god.
Florida has all that stuff.
What'd you say, Gibran?
Where did you get the snake? So there was your parents had like a discussion of snake versus lizard as a pet.
Well, I got it from a pet store, and then my dad's friend would go hunting, and one day it was a garter snake, like a harmless snake, right?
Yeah.
And my dad's friend found another one, and then one thing I just realized, it was so that snake came back, so I put them together in the cage, and then it had babies like not that long after, like a bunch of little tiny snake babies.
Wow.
Ew.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
That is
Fucking
wild.
gross.
You
Yeah.
had multiple snakes.
You must
You
have
had
been
a
so
family.
excited.
I don't remember how I thought of it. It kind of freaked me out a little bit, to be honest.
You're a
with you.
snake father, Sean.
I'm a snake father. But one thing I thought the snake came pregnant. But one thing I didn't realize is that they probably had sex in the captivity and had the babies.
I don't even know
Yeah.
how snakes have babies.
What
They
is?
lay egg. They lay egg.
There.
Yeah, they're two snakes that literally
Oh yeah, it's a
have,
red.
sex with each other.
Yeah, I think so.
How? How do they do it?
I think
Yeah.
they scissor. I think they scissor and they.
They scissor?
I don't know. They
like-
entangle. It's an entanglement, and then they.
Nice.
It's very
Yeah.
similar to Jada Pinkett Smith and
Yeah.
John, what did the snake do with the babies?
The
did
snake
they
didn't do much. They would try. I had to separate them. The parents would try to eat the babies.
Yeah. My sister had a hamster that did that. We brought it home. The hamster had babies and fucking murdered all of them.
Oh.
Wait,
Immediately, third grade.
oh my god.
That's what they do with their first litter. They eat
They
the
do.
entire first litter, and it was
Why do they do that?
Because it's a
I have
first
no idea.
draft. They're like,
Never-
okay, let's try it again.
Wow.
But
Now that we know we can do it.
Mike, did the mother did she eat her children immediately?
She ate them one by one, and we were
Holy
like,
Yeah.
Oh my
"Shirley,
God.
Shirley,
Labor
Shirley,
is exhausting, you guys.
we
It
were
makes you
That's like-
"Shirley," and
That's
she
like a
just
space
ate all
horror
of them.
movie where like people just get taken out one by one.
Did you
Wait, so you
We had
watched-
to watch.
eat them? Or did
Yeah.
they just disappear one by one?
Yeah, disappear one by one. We're like, I guess she ate them, and she did. She ate all of them.
Do you
Or
have a
we find one of them like crushed up against stuff like the other one.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true.
And then
Yeah, I
they'll
had
eat
the
it
same thing.
together.
One time, somehow one got under the bowl, the food bowl, and it died that way.
God damn.
I mean, guppies do it.
Guppy?
Probably even
And you
like
have to always remove the baby guppies because the mothers, the fish will eat the babies.
What
Oh
a-
well, the guppies is what I had to feed. If I had to do it now, I would be freaked out by snakes. I'm not into that anymore.
Is
Been
that
there,
your
done
thing
that.
anymore?
I feel like it's a weird thing that humans won't we don't want to look at, but I feel like there's something like there's like certain moms that will eat the placenta. Like they'll
for like vitamins or whatever, nutrients.
yeah, I feel like there's some weird animalistic
mom?
urge to do that we haven't like looked into. That science is just like, no, we don't need to explore that. And
It's
that's
it's-
fine.
It's way more like not prehistoric, but what would you call it? Like
Yeah, it is like prehistoric or something. Like I feel
Yeah.
like there's got to be something in people that makes them want to do that. And I don't
wait.
Isn't there stuff in the animal kingdom where like the mother has to leave because the father will get jealous and kill the cubs because of the attention or something weird, like I don't know if it's lions, something like that happens in some like animal families where it's like they have the babies and then they have to get away from the husband because the father because I think, right? Am I crazy?
Yo.
Isn't that something?
I don't know about this lion. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
yeah.
But there is this bird that I saw on Predators on Netflix. It will raise a child for 1 year. They have one bird, this couple, and they're like the most evil looking hawk you've ever seen. And they will raise it for a year. And if it can't hunt for itself, they fucking kill it. They'll invest a year into the kid. And if it can't,
I think
perform,
that's fair.
they
Very
take it out.
efficient.
It's
I
crazy.
think a year is a good amount of time.
I think that's
insane.
great. That's fine. I would
Did
do
you-
that.
Did you ever watch the?
Efficient.
You ever watch Fish People on Netflix? The Fish People one.
No, what is that?
It's people that are more comfortable in the water than they are
Little
like
Mermaid.
on the ground. And this one girl, they do her whole story. She's like a deep sea diver from an island. Like she's not doing it for competitions. I think or maybe she was, but like she's like learned from her dad. Like it's part of their tradition or whatever. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm more comfortable in the ocean. They show her like the whole time just her talking about the ocean. And then the last shot of her in her section in the documentary, they show a great white coming across the screen, and you just see the front of the great white. And then out of nowhere, you see it's her holding the great white's fin, getting pulled by the great white across the screen. It's fucking insane.
Wow.
Where's the woman from?
I forget what island she's from. She's from like some far away. There might be like the Pacific, like the Pacific Islands or something like that. Like I forget where she is.
Groups. There's like indigenous groups on the coast of Africa that have evolved to breathe underwater for over 20 minutes because generation. Yeah, they just go deep sea diving for oysters, and that's part of the foundation of their community. So
that's crazy.
So like long compared to just everyday people, it's like I think it's at least 20 minutes.
I heard the millennials and some humans are growing an extra like bone or something because of holding their phones.
Shut up.
Like they're holding. Yeah, they're like we're evolving to get like an extra like cartilage or something where they're seeing it in like young adults where like an extra bone has grown.
I mean, if we were going to evolve, it would take like at least multiple thousands of generations that quick.
Yeah,
maybe it's just because I think if you think about how often we're holding it, and if you give a kid a phone while their bones are still growing, I guess it feels like it could check out. I don't know. Yeah. But it could also be like a National Enquirer story where it's like this alligator had sex with a human and made a baby.
Yeah. Well, I always love those stories about like, well, not love them, but they're so interesting about like the culture, the tribes that are in like Papua New Guinea and stuff like that like you can't go near them. Like in Brazil, there's that island that has that like early tribe that they won't let people go near them because they'll kill them with like the germs they have. Those are the ones that like they have the pictures of them shooting arrows at planes because they have no idea what they are. It's nuts.
That's amazing.
But then that's the one, I think it's the Brazilian one where the kid was like a missionary. He was like some born again Christian kid from America. And he was told time and time again, don't go to this island. They will kill you. And they fucking shot an arrow while he was coming out to the island. And they just left his body out there on the boat. And nobody came to get it because they didn't want to get killed. Wow. Eventually they got it. But like as he was approaching the island, somebody shot at him and it must have killed him instantly.
Cool.
There's a documentary that shows a group that like went and talked to one of these indigenous groups, and it's kind of fucked up because they're not teenagers, but they're like early 20s. This whole group, it's a small group that was fleeing from persecution of another tribe, and they were just dealing with like regular shit. It was like this guy or this girl he was dating fucked his best friend and just wanted to be with his best friend. And I don't know where I was going with this, but Native Islanders, our tribesmen have the same problems we do, it's
same problems as Will and Jada, you know.
See what happens when you don't have TikTok? See what happens when you're in a tribe and you don't have TikTok to do dancing videos?
So Oklahoma just had like a legendary ruling where half of Oklahoma considered like Native American property and land. So crimes that happened that were under like the US government judicial process aren't necessarily going to hold up because it should be under tribal law.
Really?
Native American. Yeah. So there's like a rape case of like a kid and a guy, I think both were Native American, and they're like changing. I don't know the exact details. I like skimmed through this, but basically they're like redoing the case or it's going to the Supreme Court or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
The kid and the guy. The guy raped the kid, or the kid and the guy raped.
I think a guy raped a kid, but he was persecuted under American law, and they're saying with this ruling it should be persecution under tribal law, which is different. I don't know how things.
So you're saying that's like a large portion of Oklahoma now is considered that? You mean like just certain reservations?
The Supreme Court's been putting in work, bro.
Half of Oklahoma?
Yeah, I would.
Doesn't that count as like a kind of a secession? That seems like a secession to me. That's not a.
I don't even know if that's even legal, because if even if Oklahoma, let's say, even if they are following tribal law, they still live in the U.S. and they have to follow the laws of the U.S. So
yeah, it's half of Oklahoma. Supreme Court recognized, this was yesterday, half of Oklahoma as a Native American reservation land, and overturned a tribe member's rape conviction because the location where the crime was committed should have been considered outside the reach of state criminal law.
Wow. Yeah. Really just making strides, huh? Aren't we just doing great job?
And the guy's name
protecting
the Amish have that? I mean, I wonder if the Amish have that. Do the Amish have? I mean, they have their own court system and the whole thing.
Yeah, but the Amish weren't here when the Pilgrims came.
It is good that they got their land, though. They got half. They really got half of Oklahoma.
It's considered a Native American reservation.
Obviously, that case is not a good thing, but it is good that they honored.
Yeah.
No, totally. But in this case,
glad you specified that, Mike. I'm glad we know where you stand on that rape case.
I mean, I wasn't listening. I don't know why I said that. Sorry.
I don't know.
Oklahoma.
I agree with you, Mike. I'm on the same page.
I have 11
I
states.
haven't been paying attention, but I think rape is wrong.
Yes,
for sure.
I want to say that.
It's good you said that, because the conversation was talking about how rape is. They were saying.
Okay. Yeah.
What's happening is, I'm still not okay with it, because I'll tell you, not that rape is okay, not that, but I'm just like, if there was a rape situation that happened under whatever in this place that they're saying that that's not under U.S. law, and they're changing into tribal law, so it doesn't make sense, because in Amish country, if there's a rape that happened in Amish town or wherever,
yeah, but they're not afforded the same rights as Native Americans.
Why? If you're in the United States, you have to follow United States law. End of story.
Right.
Well, but no, because that's
it. Yes, not no. What? Why would?
Well, he just said it. The tribe has its own set of.
They were their own thing for America, so they're operating.
What about Dan? But what about like the Hasids? The Hasids have their own
Yeah, but those don't hold up. That's not hold up either.
Yeah, I don't know if they hold up though.
The only thing that holds up, I think, is tribal law, I guess, on the reservations, and military courts are separate from American courts.
Oh.
Military courts are separate from U.S. courts.
Well, not separate, but you know what I mean. Like, you can go through a military trial and also go through a civil or a criminal American judicial system. I'm saying, as far as separate legal systems go, like, you can consider the military set, like, they have their own sets of rules that we don't have in our criminal system.
Right.
They're not saying that it's illegal. They don't have different laws. It's who does the sentencing of those laws. That's what's different with
right. But isn't it also? You mean, I'm not saying it's completely different, but I'm saying, like, they might. You don't think they have different procedures, and they have like you think is it the same exact laws? You think, is it, Mike?
When it comes to rape and murder, yes.
Right.
Do is they want to be able to take care of things under their judicial system, not through the American.
Right, which technically shouldn't be.
A good track record with that one.
So. But that's put in place, I think, to have a more favorable system. It shouldn't be that way. You should be in the regular courts. Why would being in the military make a difference?
No, I'm talking about tribal law and the military law. Same thing. It's because there's other stuff involved with it.
Right. Oh, tribal law. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Sometimes they don't.
And
because there's military secrets you don't want to have out there.
Right. That makes sense. It's like, it's a different world. It's like a part of it's actually like a totally different society if you think about it.
So does Amish, I know, I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep bringing up the Amish.
Danny hates the Amish.
Get it off your chest.
Like a Hasidic community, like in whatever it's called, up in the Satmars, like in a closed, like a closed community of people, like the Amish is a good example. So do they also have a separate? I mean, I know that it's okay to have your own laws and to live in a community where you have your own laws. But then once, if it gets really crazy, you can take it out of your tribal court or your Amish court.
Yeah, I think that's the point.
Supreme Court, take it to American court where you can have justice.
What if like an Amish guy is in a titty bar and he does something fucked up in a titty bar, and then how does he get charged? Does he get charged in regular court, or does he get charged in Amish court, or does he get
he goes on Judge
Court
Judy?
is basically a homeowners association with more rules. They don't really have. You can't go to real jail in Amish court. You just get kicked out of their society. It's a little different.
Then you go on Rumspringa.
In tribal also, no. In tribal, you can't go to jail, but you can get thrown out of the tribe.
Well, America. No, I mean that is different. That's almost like it's their own country. It's they have a different.
Yeah, because it's almost like payback, right?
President, they have a government. Do they have money? Do they have an army? I want to know more about these.
They don't use the American resources the same way as the Amish do. So they have a different situation.
They have their own ambulances, right? And their own, but Amish do too, right?
The whole thing with them being put onto the reservations so they can be autonomous as well. So
interesting.
Mike, how do you know so much about the Amish?
Yeah.
Well, it's more that I know more what they aren't than as opposed to what they are. So.
I think
still very specific.
So these
Mike got kicked out of the Amish community.
That's what's going on in Oklahoma.
I sort of feel like somebody that got like kicked out of a cult ever since stand-up got, since it became illegal.
I would get depressed watching specials that came out. Did that happen to anyone else?
You get depressed about it?
I just wouldn't want to watch it at first because it just made me sad.
Oh no, I kind of had the opposite. I just watched that last Bill Burr one, and it made me. I kind of got psyched off of it.
Okay,
that was good.
Yeah, that was good. But
that was before it. I mean, I saw it
before it all happened.
No, it was before it all. But I'm saying I'm watching stand-up.
Going through it. I did that at the beginning. I got really into Cat Williams at the beginning of the quarantine.
I've had phases of that where I just watch Cat Williams specials like over and over again.
I mean, it's great.
Cat Williams is so funny. The fact that the last special he did it in Jacksonville, which is like one of the worst places I've been in my life.
Yeah.
And his first 15 minutes are about Jacksonville.
Bro, you know what's good about that? You can't use that Netflix material after you do it. So that's Cat Williams being clever as fuck. He's like, oh, I can't use this material again. Here goes 15 minutes about Jacksonville. I'll never do it again as long as I live. I fucking love Cat Williams. He's really good to people in Atlanta. He just gives them money. He's a cool guy.
There's a great clip of him.
Guys, it's wrap up time.
Wrap up time. Whoa, this was fun.
What?
You want to start? I'm going to start because let's plug if anybody wants to plug anything or.
I already mentioned it, but I'll say the podcast. It's called Skylight. It's on iTunes and all that stuff, and Google Radio, whatever it's called, and Stitcher and all that stuff.
And Gibran, you got anything to plug?
Just follow me on social media at Gibran Saleem.
Alrighty,
that's right.
Mike, what do you got? You got anything? You want to?
I have a show in Astoria, Queens, on the 14th, and it is at. Fuck. I don't know. It's it's at 3286 Steinway Street. I don't even know what the
July 14th, somewhere in Queens.
That's right. Just go to Astoria, and
I'm going with you, Mike.
Yeah, come out. And I'm also social media. I'm at Michael Rowland O_O. That's it.
Rosebud, who is that?
This is Mousy. I want to plug Mouse.
Okay.
She's a teenage whore, and and she wants to get spayed so that she can have unprotected sex.
She's got a choker on and everything.
Yeah, she's fucking sick. And I also want to plug my podcast, Devil's Advocate with Rosebud Baker, on iTunes and wherever else you get your podcasts, and then my podcast with my Beyonce. Andy Haynes.
Andy.
Whoa!
Andy.
Hey, Andy, what's up?
Hey, guys.
And we have a
This was
Give
great. This was a great talk. Great stories.
Fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Good to see you guys. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thanks for
having
hosting, Danny.
Thanks for Danny. Thank you.
Bye, Danny. Thanks.
Thanks,
Great
Danny.
walk.
Bye,
Bye, guys.
everybody.
Bye, guys.